Cable 10, Aurora, Illinois Community Access Channel.
A homeless wizard, an inebriated goblin,
Bottoms up!
a shipwrecked sailor, a cocky ringmaster, a temperamental monk, and chaos incarnate.
Guys, where are we?
Well, if there's a bright center to the universe, you're on the planet that it's farthest from.
Welcome to the Outer Rim.
This is profiling, you
Enjoy
racist
your stay.
assholes. Well, maybe not you, big boy.
Yeah. All right. Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirky Gun Reviews, and we're back talking the Mighty Nein Season 1. I know that I fell off. Things have been really hectic in my life, in the world. I don't think I'm really telling anybody anything that anyone out there can't understand. I got a little overwhelmed with things and just kind of backed off for a little while on some of the Critical Role stuff because it was all rolling together really fast. But I wanted to make sure that I came back and kept talking about the Mighty Nein because I freaking love it. It's my favorite campaign of Critical Role, and it's just so weird to see it. So thank you all for who've been watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, all that stuff if you're finding it fun. I'm just a guy who does this in his spare time when he's not working his ass off, and I just love talking about Critical Role amongst a whole lot of other things. Check out the rest of the things on the channel. We also have games, and we have the podcast, the Outer Rim channel. Go check that out. There's so much going on. This is what I love to do. I do it because I love it, not because I have to. So hopefully you like what I have to say more than the do-it-yourself look of everything that I have on the channel. So, the Mighty Nein, Season 1, Episode 4. Okay, I'm so excited because I've watched this I think 3 times now. I think this was my 3rd time rewatching this. And it feels like, the first 3 episodes were like this nice little appetizer, but we still did not even finish what would be considered like the first episode, the first couple episodes. Actually, the first 3 episodes are the first episode. I think we talked about this already. So the first 3 episodes are basically the first episode. And then episode 4 is basically episode 4 and 5, respectively. No, it's episodes 2 and 3. So yeah, episode 4 is episodes 2 and 3 in the main campaign, where we deal with them being interrogated and then eventually fighting the Demon Toad. Now, there are mild changes here, and I will avoid major campaign spoiler stuff until the very end when we talk about in the full spoilers for people who already know. But I am not going to give away fully anything that directly says this is gonna happen. So anyway, we start off right with a great interrogation scene. I freaking love this. And one of the things that I thought from when I watched it originally a few weeks ago was that this whole episode reminds me of The Usual Suspects in a way, especially starting right here, where you get each person giving their own, spin on things. Who part of this interrogation is saying who these characters are in a way, or another aspect of, okay, this is a bit like this. And I think it's wonderful. And the energy that they bring reminds me of the chaotic energy that it felt like watching The Usual Suspects. And that's not the only time where this comes up. And maybe I just got that on the brain for some reason while watching this, where I was seeing things maybe that aren't really there. But I still choose to look at it like that a little bit. A bunch of people who don't know each other, kind of thrown together in a cell, and all of a sudden start to become something more and go on a bigger mission to go after a really bad guy, kind of like Trent Ickathon, who's kind of, maybe you could say, the Kaiser Soze about all this. The guy who no one knows is actually, doing all these things behind the scenes. I don't know. I know that that's not where the campaign came from, but I just kind of feel like the way that some of this episode is framed is a bit like somebody was a big fan of The Usual Suspects. But we do get a name, our first name, the Sensual Seven. Hence the thumbnail that I made. I think that them constantly showing off Jester's art, constantly showing up Jester doing art, is a lot of fun. And Caleb in this situation loses his amulet. So these are this is full spoilers for the episode, so we can talk about this. Yes, finally. The amulet that Caleb has is very important. Now, he does not lose it in the game like this. Caleb's amulet hides him from other wizards, and that is not something that they really messed with for a long time. But for dramatic sake, for more tension, which I think really works, is removing that from him, makes the danger more immediate. So that way we don't feel like we're slogging, because it is kind of like it's a way for you to play in the campaign world for episodes and episodes and episodes and episodes and not worry about these dangerous wizards that are hunting you to come at you from all sides all the time. You wouldn't be able to do anything else. It'd just be like, we're still fighting these wizards, because every episode they find us. So the amulet is a good kind of little MacGuffin thing that works in a campaign setting better than a show setting, because you want more drama. You want these wizards on your tail. You want the pacing to be fast, and you want the danger to feel real. Now, there will have to be a point where, and so it's a temporary thing, as we'll see later on, because the finale of this show is going to air this week. That's how far behind I am on talking about this. But I think that's a really awesome aspect to all of this, and a big part of Caleb always, this isn't going to be the last time, or it's at least not the last time of the campaign, where Caleb kind of wants to constantly go back for the thing that he wants, the thing that might endanger himself or others. Also want to bring up, starting here, when they remove Knott's ability to drink in this, the facial animation, like animation across the board, sometimes looks good, sometimes looks bad. Sometimes stuff takes a while to evolve, like a studio needs more than one season to really figure out where, how they want to get these characters to look and everything. And sometimes even on this show, which has really good animation for the most part, sometimes, it slips into whatever. But the facial animation that they do on Knott, man, is so good, man. All the detail in her emotional state for this little goblin girl to feel like, when we see her going without alcohol, and what she knows she's going to go through, the pain that she's going to feel, and just that anger and rage you feel. And as a recovering alcoholic it's been over 8 years now, but that feeling that you get when you don't have it, and any excuse you can to have it, and the way that you'll lash out and hurt other people, and it's being portrayed so perfectly in this little character that Sam created. It's just so brilliant. And the desperation that the animators have been able to capture with the facial recognition is just fantastic. Also want to bring up, I talk about this all the time, but the little touches, just the little touches on this show, where the orc turns the bow and just flips her off, and goes, all these little things. When I talk about Jester and how Laura Bailey's performance is, it's not just the words on the page. She adds inflections and little mumbles and ticks and things that she has like played that character for so long that it's like just a switch she turns on, and she continues to evolve it, which I think is also important. As you grow older, your character should grow and change, and you sound different. You can start to sound different depending. And again, bringing up what I said before of like showing Jester always working on art, how she's drawing in the prison cell a version of herself. I thought that was so funny. And the detail even on that, where it's like her with like, I guess the mugshot, except they don't do mugshots, but she still drew herself in a mugshot situation. Juster Lavore 3/1/8008, but still says boob. I mean, who like that's people who wrote this understand the characters as well as the people that play them, and maybe they had a lot they had to have had a lot to do with the scripts. They had to. But then we get Molly. This is a really emotional episode for Molly, because while they're all in their own shit, Bo's there for her monk stuff. Caleb's there to, because he was looking for, magical components. Knott's there to help Caleb. Ford and Jester were there to pass on through on their way to the Solstice Academy. But Molly, this was Molly's life. They show up and drop it, in like a bomb. In the campaign, they all come together, and none of this is their fault. All right. They go to the show and shit goes down. In the show, again, for dramatic effect, this part is where I don't know how much I agree. I think I prefer the game's version of how things go down. Which wasn't that the demon toad just takes off with Toya. Okay. They all stay there. It's not until after they're out and they go to investigate that the demon toad then leaves with her. And then what happens. So it's bad. It's bad, but it's not like Gustav is dead bad. Gustav didn't die in the campaign. Again, more really horrific dramatic effect, and it's good. But I just kind of prefer the one from the game in this respect. But I do love that it's I guess it's in some way better to destroy the carnival than to have it possibly be this thing in the background. I mean, although if it was, because it was still in the background, I mean, I guess I don't know what the status of the carnival was or is in game. But for story-wise, it's probably best to just have the carnival go up in flames and it's all over for those people and their jobs that work there. But again, his justification, because here's the thing. I guess this was my major point between the difference between the thing and the show and the campaign was, again, it's not their fault in the campaign. But in the show, Caleb is there to find the bugs. The bugs get loose. That's what causes the demon toad to flip out. So the characters in the show are the ones that are actually causing the trouble. Bo being there and attacking things, like rivaling things up. So this is written to be more dramatic, and that's why I prefer like what they had there. But again, it's faster and darker, and then gives Molly that reason to just be like. And again, he kills Gustav himself. So, and it's his introduction to almost to his own powers, which I did bring up here, is what is the difference between Molly in game with his powers and not? And it's like, because Taliesin, sits down at the table and goes, okay, and then I do this with my blood and then blah, blah, blah. So Molly in game knows some stuff, but even in game, there felt like there was this kind of experimentation with how he would do things and not quite know how it would work out and how much it would take of his health points and things like that as a blood hunter. Blood hunter being created by Matthew Mercer, which I discovered was because he made it for Vin Diesel for a one shot they did for the last Witch Hunter. I guess I didn't watch that. I didn't watch the Vin Diesel one shot, but I guess I should have, because that's where the blood hunter comes up. So Matt is the one who like fully understands this. So even at the table, Talison's learning how to play this character as well. You know, it's a first, and he jumped on it and made this really complex character. But yeah, what does Molly do? Where does he go? And since a lot of this season is who am I? You know, what's my identity because of blank that happened to me, because of trauma, because of how I was treated by my family and things like that. And the people that were supposed to take care of us. There's a lot of parental like mistakes going on in this show so far. And like I said, Toya wasn't taken yet. And there's also a bunch about gods here, whether it's Ukatoa, who he doesn't even know, I don't think, the name of his god yet, but or the Traveler, or when they talk about who the Cobalt Soul worship. Everybody's kind of got that going on too. Like Molly must be wondering, like, who's behind what is happening to me. But Ford's the only one, and this is how they get out. And I think it's really cool that like Ford's powers just kind of they can take everything away from everybody else, but because he can turn into somebody else, they get out. And we switch over to the Trent Ickathon stuff. So I'm going to just talk about all the Trent stuff, Trent and Essex stuff in one big thing, so I'm not bouncing around from scene to scene. But this is okay. I love that we're getting all this bad guy stuff. I love that we've expanded Aurelia's part. I love that we're expanding Trent and Essex early in the show instead of like, finding them, way, what would be considered episodes and episodes and episodes deep into the campaign, right? You can hear about people but not see them in the story. But this is like the part where I feel like Essex is a really smart character, like really smart. And they've added the whole thing with his mother having typhus, which fine. Okay. We want to have some reason why Essex would be working with this terrible, terrible man. And, but we also have to think then, pardon me, that Essex is the kind of guy who would sacrifice everyone for his mother. But since that's not a part of the game, we don't know. Like, this is an added thing that I feel like doesn't really work for me personally. It works narratively to cause more drama, but Trent Ickathon, he's Snidely Whiplash. He could, all he needs is a little mustache to be like, nah. I mean, he's literally got a scene where he's like, trying to like, he gets like Essex gives up all this information that he doesn't really have to give him necessarily. He's so desperate about his mother that he's just like, no. Like, like Trent's like, I don't know if he's gaslighting him or what, but like his desperation, he's because they created this mother character, there's this desperation that Essex has that just doesn't feel like the character I know. And that's the part that bothers me. It's not a deal breaker. It doesn't make the show really worse. It's just when I think of the character, I go, he could be stronger. He should be more stoic. He should be even more kind of like, I don't know. He's the kind of guy that I feel would see through Trent Ickathon's bullshit. And the way that he's just like, I mean, he's literally sipping his tea like, like, dude, this guy is a rotten bastard. Oh, but mother. So it's like, I'm supposed to believe that Trent's the kind of guy who would sacrifice everyone for his mother, and I just don't. or Essek. I don't believe that Essek would do that as a character, but that's my own personal take. My own personal. They want to escalate things, and again, it's like Trent. It shows like the difference between Trent too. He just wants to skip right to the end to finding out things. He doesn't want to do things the proper, like the way, and the safer way, and the more ethical way, which is to do the research, take the time to do it. You want to study this weekend, fine, but everything's on a ticking clock because of how you got it, and everyone's going to war over it. So you don't have time. So but that's another convenience, another plot convenience to be on that ticking clock. So then Trent can always say, well, look, man, I didn't have any time. We were at war, except I created the war. So he goes right to experimentation, which is the fast way to just go, okay, well, if we think that this might be the way to do it, then kill this guy this way and then do it to this guy and see if that works. And immediately Essek is like, uh-oh, I think I made a mistake. And it's just like that part to me is the only part that bothers me at all in any of this. Because he goes home and there's Rahul Kohli playing Verrett. I believe is the name of the character. I have it, written down here. He's doing a great voice work for this character because Rahul Kohli has a pretty distinct voice. And I like how he's changed it here to sound fairly unrecognizable, but these old ears of mine can pick up all kinds of character actors. Okay. Sorry, there was a situation I paused it, and then I've been nervous when I press pause because it's been suddenly switching over to playing my intro over again. It's happened already in one of my other previous Critical Role videos, so I don't think I'm talking out of school. Watch one of the other ones. It just happens. I don't know why. But anyway, so he comes in and says, like, I know about your mom, but I'm not going to tell anybody because conveniently I have to go off to war now because of what's going on. And that this is just me, telling you I know, but I'm going to give you the time to do something about it. Not knowing that Essek knows where the beacon is because he gave it to him and he's betraying everyone. I love this, and we'll get to it. I guess I got to try to remember this for the real spoiler stuff, which isn't long, really. It's just one kind of major thing. But I really like the idea, though, of the beacon and the getting souls without the consecration or consecration that they call it, whatever. And just how it's going to be a weapon. It's this bigger thing. And Trent just immediately, I mean, he didn't care if everybody in that fucking room died when he was using the Dunamancy stuff. He had already lost control, and then boom, they just immediately go, get him out of here. Get him out of here. And I liked how they push him away because it's like, what's he gonna do? Who's he gonna tell? Anything he does implicates himself and his mother, and he can't. Again, it's really convenient dialogue of Essek, again, just telling Trent every single thing that he could possibly use as leverage about his mother and everything else. I don't know, man. I mean, the dude's Palpatine. He's sitting there saying all these things that are hey, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. And you're sitting there going, I don't know, man. I like this guy. So I don't know. Or maybe not but I have to trust the devil, to get what I need, right? I want to bring up the "we are going to die" moment when they run into the brick wall and Ford tries to be brave. Here's the voice inside him and does an Eldritch blast that does nothing. When Nat goes, "We are going to die." For some reason, I feel like Sam must have been channeling Harrison Ford from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The same inflection, just from a little goblin girl, sounded exactly like when Indy's looking through the hole in Temple of Doom telling her that they're all going to die. Sorry, that was just my own thing. I don't know if anybody else ever felt that way too. La 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 la, the lollipop smashing, showing how strong Jester is. Yeah, and then we get to okay, more about Jester and the Traveler, right? Her desperation and them like constantly calling her out. Who is she talking to? What is going on with her? Blah blah blah. Like she's getting and every turn this guy is not showing up for her. And you can start to hear her anxiety about how much she's talking about, how much he exists, how much he has to exist, and blah blah blah. And it's just in that when people are in cults, when people bring it up and you just constantly deflect and make excuses for the person in charge. This is a really good character to have out there right now to show what it's like, even in the most mild of forms, to what it can look like when you are a part of a cult. You know, this cult leader gets her to do things that, I don't think she's killed anybody over it yet that I know of, but the power of persuasion from people who say they have your best interests at heart. The Solstice Academy, they bring that up. A good school, but the teachers are bad apparently as far as Cobalt. Soul gets brought up. I like this part. Bo's doing her dope monk shit. Again, the way they animate all of Bo's stuff is fantastic. Them looking at her like, who the hell are you, And I love that Caleb's the one who jumps in, calls them librarian spies, that, they claim to be neutral. They're, again, like all these people are like the usual suspects. And that like Kaiser Soze is like, well, never mind. And I already said kind of what I thought, but this is when they're on their journey to find Toya. And when they finally do see Toya, I love Ford's reaction. I'm out. Because that at least is a nice, fun, momentary, real reaction to an insane, scary situation. You know what? We don't really need to do this. But another difference here is that in game, now that we're here in the fight and the demon toad dies, we know in game why really the demon toad freaked out in the first place, which was that Gustav was feeding like elderly people to the demon toad to be cool and be part of everything. There's more to it than that, but that was a big part of it. And so this thing just wanted out. It was freaking out. And in the game, Toya doesn't die. That's another thing. But they wanted to have another moment, really emotional, impactful moment for Not here. Why? Because it's like they're sitting there. They're using magic. They heal her, but she's still dead. Which means she took more damage and was just gone. And this thing was just using her to escape through a rift, which is another big part that'll start being probably used a lot more, is these rifts where who's coming in and out of these things, who's opening them. But Molly then, there's also a moment where Molly tastes the blood, and that's another cue where all of a sudden it's like he just gets switched on. They're giving it away, man. They're giving it away. We get the very first pop from Bo, trademark catchphrase used by Marisha Ray in campaign. We get to see the pink unicorns from Jester in the fight. Ford's powers more and more are being given to him from Ukatoa. Whoops, said Ukatoa. Slap. Anyway, when it all comes said and done, the demon toad is killed. It all looked really cool. Caleb gets a couple of fireballs off. And Molly in game does not get the kill. That goes to a forward Eldritch Blast, I believe. But in the show, it makes sense that Molly kills the Demon Toad with the swords that he had to use to kill Gustav. And so all that's in the end is after all of this, they're just sitting here. They got the head. What do you do next, right? Dealing with the aftermath of all of this, and what do they do now? Because Not's really upset. They've got this funeral that they do for the kid. Not is talking about how a child is still gone forever after all of this, that, and the other. The most important thing really is like in all of this innocent kid's dead. And we're thinking about all these other things. And I think, again, really good subtle commentary on child death. We are not doing enough to save our kids here. We are just making excuses and dodging our own failures to our children. We don't want to deal with it. Because Molly, then in the end, how they're all brought together with their shared pain, but also their shared strength. Or maybe it's carny bullshit. But I choose to believe that this is just, a great found family where hurt people, but they can also help each other stand up. And now that we actually have a name, and again, it was really fun how they got there. They get to bring where they're going to bring the Toad's head to the King's Guard, Crown's Guard, and prove their innocence, except everyone is dead. And who did it? Little tiny Oelia. I love that they even show how they frame it. So they showed you she is a little thing, and she is just wiping the floor with all of these people. And again, she had almost nothing in the second campaign. So it's really cool to bust out a character that didn't get to do anything and has become something really cool and unexpected for the animated version of this show. So anyway, folks, that's where I have left off. I didn't think I'd be talking this much about just one episode. So if you like this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. We will be back. I'm going to do number 5 and number 6 and number 7 and number 8. I might even do number 8 before I do number 5, 6, and 7. Who knows? But until then, keep an eye on the channel for all of you who like this. I, again, apologize for the lateness of all of these, but we'll be cracking these out as soon as I can. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye. Ba 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 bum. Ba bum 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 bum.